technical delay. Let's start. My name is Mikhail Yegorov. I'm from Parallels company. I'm doing web security there, mainly Java. I'll tell you about the security of such a software product as the Adobe Experience Manager. On that slide, I've shown articles of previous researches which I've found on the internet before I started to get it deep into this subject. It's useful to read. Has anyone here any looked into Adobe Experience Manager or developed anything for that? Okay, will be interesting. Short intro ran Adobe Experience Manager, a system of managing web content. It's called VCM system. It's written in Java, and with that, you can create comfortable functional web applications such Site Audi, Ford, General Motors, BP, Shell, etc. You can make a long list. So that's the end of the intro, and let us break something. Let's hack. Yeah. So we are getting into site audi.com. Very modern, beautiful, functional site. Let's double check what's with the security there. We have slash dot JSON, and we see the JSON back and some other properties. Let's try to do something else. bin.json. We are getting back empty JSON. We may try to do something more interesting. Example, bin/query builder.json. What we see back is that interesting JSON, which tells us that success true, result 0. So it looks like certain REST API for the search, and that's actually the case. We can search for something interesting. Let's try to find out users on that site. Type rep user. We're searching throughout the whole repository, and we want to find out name and password. And we enter 100 results one inquiry, and we see that what we get back, username and hash of the password, in this case hash h1. That's the users of the site audi.com. Let's take a look at another site. Site of GM. Same attack as with the audi.com doesn't work. We can do it differently. Dial content 0.json, and we see again that JSON is getting back some properties. We may try 1 and write tidy in front, and we will get more information then. We may try 2, even more information. Let's try. We'll try and analyze this data and get something out of that. I entered 4 there, and I'll try to save this big JSON file. JSON which will give me CGM, weights 100 megabytes. We put 8 instead of 4, gonna be about 1 gig. We download it. 100 megabytes. That's what it showed me. I'm trying to analyze that. What I'm interested in, names of users from GM site. With the Python, with the RE model, I'll try to extract this information. So I open this JSON, which I've uploaded, downloaded. Upload that, announce dictionary to get unique usernames. And I'm searching for JSON usernames on regular expression. On that. I'm not interested in duplicates, so I ignore them. So it's done. I filtered up the users. Now I'll try to bring them out. So that's the usernames. Adobe Experience Manager on website General Motors. So let's get back to the presentation. Normally, any pen test starts from collecting of information. That's a very important stage of any pen test. Just to understand what vulnerabilities are there with our target, how can we exploit them? What do we want as attackers if our target is Adobe Experience Manager? The first thing is to get that important information from the content repository. Then understand what OSGI bundles are set there. See what customs JSP scripts are there. Extract usernames, password hashes, and find those elements in the content repository, which would give us for anonymous modification. Let's start from interesting information from repository of content. In Adobe Experience Manager, there's a bundle which is called JSON renderer servlet. That's servlet of this bundle, which we have seen in the demo. It allows us to get properties of the element from the content repository. Content repository is a tree with each element of this tree has its own features. So this servlet allows to get elements of element tree. Write .json, we'll get properties of the root element. If you add suffix 6, we'll get properties of its subsidiary elements up to the 6th layer. If you add suffix tidy, it's going to be more readable with JSON. If we put infinity instead of 6, we'll get properties of all the subsidiary elements. So we will dump the whole repository content. How to get a list of all the installed bundles. For that, there's a special element which is called bin. We dump its content. We can use for that another bundle which is called Core Builder. I have a link to that. It allows to make requests to the content repository in language similar to Express language. How to get custom JSP scripts. Again, there's a special element which is called apps. We dump it, its content, and we get a list of custom scripts. As usual, access to this element is filtered by the settings. So if it's not allowed to anonymous user, we can try to get scripts from the cache. Or from the cache, they have a compiled JSP scripts there. And normally this element is allowed for reading by anonymous users. How to extract usernames. We can use JSON Core Builder. If it's not available, we can dump elements of content and using the script on the Python extract usernames. How to extract cache. In the demo you have seen that with the help of Core JSON Builder we can do that. So if the target is set in the wrong way, we can dump hash and password. How to find elements for which it is allowed the modification of anonymous user. So we dump content element again, and using this script with Python we identify whether it is possible to have anonymous modification. After we pass all the steps, we will get, our purpose is to get some access to the content repository. We may try to have default user credentials like admin/admin, author/author, anonymous/anonymous. If the Core Builder JSON is available and we manage to dump cache, we root hashes, either SHA-1 without salt or SHA-256 with salt. If nothing works, we can try online attack. Example how we can do that with the Pfizer potato, which is in Kali Linux. So we have usernames and we pick passwords, so we have some dictionary. After we have access, what else we can do, depending on what kind of access we obtain. So we can make access attacks, CSRF attacks, DOS attacks, RCE, read local files. Unfortunately, I don't have time to tell you about the XSS, CSRF, and DOS. I'll tell you about RCE. I found several vulnerabilities in the Adobe Experience Manager. That's one of these vulnerabilities. We got advisory for that already, but it's related that Adobe Experience Manager has a WebDAV plugin. We can manage repository content through the WebDAV protocol. As you may know, it uses XML, and it just happened that this particular plugin, Adobe Experience Manager, is partial XML is not safe, so this partial was initialized not safe. That's why possible to have XSC attacks. I've also wrote exploit for this vulnerability, and I've put it on exploitdb.com. So that's well, this exploit uses two methods. First, out of bound technique, which is well described in the OnSecond blog, and normal inbound exploitation. Why two techniques? Because for out-of-bound exploitation, you don't need to have any credentials, just quite anonymous. You simply send requests to WebDAV find with the proper XML, and we get local files. But again, there are some disadvantages that we need a server, and this technique is not as stable as regular technique of exploitation of XXE. Now let's take a look at video how this vulnerability to be operated, exploited. So we create elements of XXE in the content repository. We'll try to get connected to the repository with the WebDAV client, which is called Cadaver. So we enter anonymous credentials, and we dial command ls, and we see a listing what nodes are in the content repository. Did request prop find, which brings us back the listing. We slightly modified to trigger up XXE. We add external entity, launch netcat on the port 4444, and we see that application server has connected, so attack works. But that's out of bound technique or method. I showed credentials are anonymous. Now we'll try to have inbound method. So we need to have credentials with the higher authority then. With the help of command request prop page, we read, in this case needed, listing of current directory, the property elements XXE, and we see that listing of the current directory. Traditionally, we'll try to read the file as you see on S3D. Same, we send request, require a prop patch with XML, and then we send request prop find. We see the content of the ITC file on S3D. So now the most interesting thing is RC. If we are an admin we've hacked the admin credentials, we can do the admin on Adobe Experience Manager. In the beginning, how the scripts work for the Adobe Experience Manager, there's a separation between the content and the processor of this content. So we have an elementor which is called RC, and we assign to it properties linked to source type equals RC type. And we have an element, daughter element, which is called apps, with the element script.sp exec.gsp, and then we exec gsp script performed. And that's basically then going to be 5 steps how to get RC if we have admin credential. First thing, we create an element with the type empty folder. We'll call it RCE type. And then we upload to this element of our GSP script, exact GSP. And then we, with the help of, well, there's another experience manager, there's a panel called post servlet. It allows to have some manipulations with the content. We use operation copy, so we copy element RC type into element apps. Then we create element RC and we assigned property resource type RC type, and then we send get request. This RC.exec and our script exec GSP is performed. Let's demo how it works. First we launch netcat import 444, where we need to get reverse shell. So that's script exec GSP, which will get us a reverse shell. Oh, it's not it. First we will, apologize, we create element RC type. I'm showing a script, exact GSP, which is launching a reverse shell which is connected with our host. Now I'm uploading this script, loading the RC type element. I downloaded. Now I'm copying it to element apps with the help of copy post servlet operation. So after it is copied, I am going to create an element RC with the type RC type, and then I will be able to launch my script. I've created it, and then I can send a query request to the exact element and put suffix exec to the RC element. My script must be compiled and then launched. I've got the reverse shell. Perform the command ID, PVD. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions? Hello, my name is Artyom from Kaspersky Lab. In the beginning, you've shown vulnerabilities of the OD towards the wrong configured SCL, which allowed anonymous user to read that. If you take Experience Manager out of the box by default and create a site, which by default SCL for anonymous user are set, but the read is going to be allowed there, or it depends on the site admin configuration. It's quite a difficult system for Adobe Experience Manager. I asked Web to give it to me to study. They didn't respond. Indeed, there's a project called Apache Slink. It's an open source project, and with that, maybe 70% is based on Experience Manager. So all the features I found there, which I found in Apache Slinga, a real site of Adobe Experience Manager, they were subject to these vulnerabilities too. What we have seen that there's no GM, we can configure the access list. Of course you can do that. There are components in Adobe Experience Manager, which is called dispatcher. They perform the function of access control to these all elements of repository. Probably it was misconfigured, which led to this problem. Clear? Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions? Hello? Do you have any other frameworks or any ready scripts to extract all the information from this side, Adobe Experience Manager? In the beginning, I showed 3 links. That's the whole work that was made. One presentation from SINFOSEC Institute. The article is called, don't remember the title, Adobe Experience Manager Security Part 1. The second part of the article was not ever published. Second link is a presentation from the conference, Adobe, but it's not a security conference. And the third link was actually documentation of Adobe Experience Manager, and there was no other researches about that. My research. So we will wait for a presentation. Thank you. Question. When we addressed JSON, where I get data from, coming from database or what format of storage. Yeah, well, there's not a database way, in traditional way, but they use a content repository called GSIR, Java Content Repository. So physically it can store in the database, in the file systems, and then it's a tree. That's not correctly that. Using this interface we can obtain access to all database or the whole repository. Yes. If the access control is misconfigured, theoretically, yes, we can obtain any sensitive information. Did you write to administration of these sites? Do they respond? Yes, I've tried to connect with Adobe, but they've answered. I even then found a consulting firm in Germany which was servicing this site. They didn't reply to me too. Just incorrectly that vulnerability is still there with the sites. Yes. Well, I'm following the ethical hacking. Why I decided to tell you about it. I don't see big security problem. These hashes flow away because you need to find the place that's site where you can send POS request, but I couldn't find it. First we need to brute these hashes. I've tried, I couldn't. Well, there are people who can. I know. You need to have a place, some end point where you can send these credentials to. I couldn't find them. That's why I decided to tell about it. So that's not critical vulnerability. So, no other questions. Thank you.